Starting with the Army of the Dead, basically why that's really important is that this is the common enemy. This is like the bottom line. This is what everybody in the end is going to have to face.
Happy New Year, everybody. So we have a whole bunch of Game of Thrones to talk about. Even though it's the holiday, there's a bunch of stuff happening behind the scenes. There are some new cast members as well as returning cast members that we weren't sure if they were coming back for a very specific storyline in the North, as well as some of the bigger cast members talking about the actual ending and George R. R. Martin's holiday greetings. So if you are finding me for the first time, I do Game of Thrones every week. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. And I'm also doing a book giveaway that I'll explain at the end of the video. Starting with the bigger characters first, if you remember during Season 7, Episode 1, we met Alys Karstark and Ned Umber, sort of the sons and daughters of the disgraced houses that they had defeated during the Battle of the Bastards. There was this big argument about what to do with them. Sansa wanted to grant their lands to people that actually fought for them at the Battle of the Bastards rather than against them. Jon didn't want to hold these young people accountable for the sins of their father. That'll probably come into play when they find out that he's a secret Targaryen. But here's where it really gets fun. So also granting them their lands back because they also just happen to be directly in the path of the Night King in the Army of the Dead as they slowly wind their way south to Winterfell. But even if you haven't been following the production and you've been more focused on what's going on with King's Landing, the Army of the Dead has to physically march south through Winterfell to get to the south. The Night King can fly wherever he wants because he has Viserion. But the actual army itself snakes its way south as it grabs as many bodies as possible, added to the Army of the Dead. So you look at the map of the North here and you say, ooh, R.I.P. Ned Umber, R.I.P. Last Hearth, because it's the first big hold between Eastwatch and Winterfell. But the Carhold is way over here on the East Coast, and we know that Miguel Sapochnik isn't directing an episode till episode 3, which sounds like it's going to be the second battle for Winterfell. So what are they going to do with the Last Hearth in the Carhold? It sounds like they'll be added to the Army of the Dead, so it sounds like we might get really quick shots like we got at the end of episode 3, where they took Highgarden. Like you saw a version of a battle, but it was Jaime rolling up with his army, you saw the quick shot of the Queen of Thorns looking out, and then the aftermath. So they might do a version of that for the Last Hearth in the Carhold, just showing you the Night King and the Army of the Dead washing over those holds and just making the Army of the Dead even bigger so that they build the anticipation for that episode 3 battle. So we haven't talked about the Dreadfort, but it's also kind of in this path here. If they snake down through the Last Hearth, go east to the Carhold, then down around the Dreadfort and straight to Winterfell. Now there's Hornwood, there's Ramsgate, there's Widow's Watch, White Harbor, all these places down here. So just don't be surprised if the rapid transit system of Westeros is in operation because the Army of the Dead would take weeks and weeks to march from different place to place. But it sounds like it's really only going to be about 2 episodes before they make it to Winterfell. So now you kind of see the logic in bringing back Alys Karstark and Ned Umber. They can give them this really heroic death if they do want to kill them. But because they're so young, they might just keep them in that Great Hall at Winterfell and have them give orders to their subjects at these places and have them redeem their households that way. The only other reason to have a lot of scenes at those places like the Last Hearth would be if that's where Tormund and Beric show up, because I think we all expect that they've survived. So they could show up there, they could show up at Castle Black, or rapid transit style, they could just wind up at Winterfell at the end of the second episode, because if they're going to have a big battle in episode 3, it sounds like they're going to want to have all their characters there by that time. But just remember, even though you have all the stuff that's happening in the North before you ever get to a battle at Winterfell, there's only going to be 6 episodes, and Miguel Sapochnik is directing that 3rd episode. David Nutter is directing the first 2 episodes, so I'm expecting them to be more character-based. So if we do have big battles during those, I'm just expecting them to be treated the way we saw them treated during episode 3. We did find out about an Irish actor that's playing a new character called Fergus, so it sounds like he's going to be a northern character. We don't know who he's playing, he's not somebody from the books, so he might just show up at Winterfell. They have cast a number of new minor characters for scenes up at Winterfell just because they're going to be spending so much time there, but we don't know exactly what's going to be happening outside of the battles and outside of the main character reunions. It's a little easier to predict what's going on with the main characters just because you know them so well, so there's only a few things left for them to do during the final season. But speaking of main characters, Emilia Clarke has been doing a bunch of interviews like the rest of the main cast, but she said something really funny, which I don't necessarily believe, but she said that they actually do have multiple different endings, so no one main cast member, like the really big cast members, know what the actual ending is going to be. The reason why I don't think that's true is because Dan and Dave knew what the ending of Game of Thrones was going to be a couple years ago. Like, they had a plan, they've been following that since then. So even though like little minor things change within scenes, like, oh, this isn't working, we need to change the dialogue a little bit. The really big signposts, like your ending, your big action set pieces, those were determined a long time ago, and they used to party with the main cast members a lot, talk about what the future of their characters were. So it's very possible many nights drunken years ago, they talked about the future of the show with the cast members. So even if like there's little dialogue changes in that final episode, most of the main cast members who are paying attention to that kind of stuff have an idea for how the show is going to end. But because things are so crazy, there's a social media ban on set, like the actors aren't allowed to use social media while they're filming scenes, which seems pretty logical. They just need to have something to tell reporters when they're asked, hey, what's the ending of Game of Thrones? So they can just read the HBO written dialogue. Oh, we don't know, there's multiple endings, it could be anything, they're filming multiple endings. When in reality, the actual ending will probably be filmed indoors, so even if they know what it is, nobody will have a chance to see it. Like, it's not going to be something that you could catch with a drone. But let me know in the comments, do you actually believe them when they talk about these multiple endings that they're filming? Because they've said that before, like Kit Harington said that, and it turned out to be a gross exaggeration.
I mean, I'd trip myself up all over the place here. No, I can't tell you anything. All I can tell you is that what you might have seen on the internet, anyone who follows it, might not be true. It might be true.
But it also might be true, and you might be just saying that to throw us off the case.
Yep.
Yeah. How many fake scenes were you personally involved in?
3.
3?
3 fake scenes.
3 fake scenes. How many hours did those fake scenes take to shoot?
About 5 hours each.
Really?
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass.
But over in book territory, George R. Martin gave his annual holiday greeting. Merry Xmas, Happy New Year to my friends and readers out there. Had a lovely Christmas day with friends and family, and Santa was very good to me. I hope the same is true to all of you. So he doesn't have any actual updates on Winds of Winter. I know we all still have speculation on when it might drop. Usually that proves out to not be true. So I try not to speculate too much on release dates, but if there's any big news about that, of course I'll post it in a video. Leave all your requests for Season 8 or Game of Thrones related videos in the comments below. There is some Ironborn that I was planning on doing that I might post next week. So Happy New Year, everybody. I'll say congratulations to the latest book giveaway winner, Suma King. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. There was a new round in this video. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. I'll name a winner when I post new Game of Thrones. Click here to learn more about what's going on with the Season 8 episodes, and click here to learn more about what's going on with the actual release date. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.